What if a simple habit, something you've done for years, maybe even decades, was now quietly working against you? Not because it's wrong, and not because of your age, but because the way you've been doing it no longer matches what your body actually needs after 60. Now, I know this might sound a bit surprising. After all, self-pleasure is a completely normal, healthy part of life for men of all ages. But here's the catch. Most people never hear about if it's done without awareness. Especially in your later years, it can silently weaken your blood flow, reduce sensitivity, and even cause strain in your intimate relationships. And most men, they never realize this until it's already affecting their confidence, performance, or connection with their partner. Hi, I'm Dr. John, and for over 30 years, I've helped older adults across the US reclaim their vitality, confidence, and well-being by understanding how their bodies change with age and how to adapt with clarity and care. Today, we're diving into 3 common but overlooked mistakes men over 60 often make when it comes to self-pleasure, and how those habits can quietly sabotage circulation, intimacy, and satisfaction. Stick with me through this video, and you'll learn simple, respectful, and even revitalizing ways to shift these patterns so you can feel more connected and confident again. And if this topic feels helpful, already feel free to subscribe for more honest, senior-focused health advice every week. Let's start with something that rarely gets talked about honestly, how aging affects blood flow and intimacy in ways most men don't expect or fully understand. After 60, your body starts to experience a natural decline in certain hormones, especially testosterone. Now, testosterone isn't just about sex drive, it affects energy, mood, muscle, strength, and yes, your ability to maintain strong circulation. As testosterone levels drop, blood vessels also tend to stiffen slightly. This makes it harder for your body to send blood efficiently, including to areas that matter during intimate moments. But here's the part many men miss. This decline doesn't just happen overnight. It's subtle. You might notice you don't wake up with the same morning response you used to. Maybe arousal takes longer, or it's harder to stay fully engaged. And because it happens so gradually, a lot of men chalk it up to just getting older. But that's not the full story. See, it's not just the passing years. It's how your daily habits either support or sabotage your blood flow, your sensitivity, and even your emotional connection. And self-pleasure, something that can be a healthy and even healing part of life, can start to work against you if done without the right awareness. Let me tell you about Frank. Frank is 67. He came to see me because he was starting to feel less connected to his partner. He said things just didn't feel the same anymore. At first, he blamed stress, then his age, but when we dug deeper, we realized something else. Frank had developed a quiet routine, one he never thought twice about. Every night, usually before bed, he'd quickly relieve himself to fall asleep faster. It was mechanical, habitual, thoughtless even. But over time, that habit had conditioned his nervous system for quick, low-engagement stimulation. His body had learned to bypass arousal, and as a result, his blood flow weakened. His intimacy suffered. And the real tragedy, he never knew this pattern was making things worse, until he noticed the impact in his relationship. Frank's story is more common than you might think. You see, when we talk about circulation and intimacy, we often separate them as if one is physical and the other emotional. But they're deeply connected. When blood flow is poor, sensation drops. When sensation drops, satisfaction does too. And when you feel disconnected from your own body, it becomes harder to connect with someone else. Here's the good news. The body is incredibly adaptable. Even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, you can retrain your nervous system. You can rebuild blood flow, rekindle sensation, and restore a sense of control. But only if you know what to look out for and what to change. So, what exactly are the mistakes that quietly sneak in and rob you of that connection? The ones that drain circulation, dull sensation, and create emotional distance without you even realizing it. Let's start with the first and possibly the most common mistake: rushing the process. Let's talk about the first mistake, and it's something I see so often in men over 60 that I've come to call it the quick fix trap. It goes like this: over time, you get used to rushing through the experience. Maybe it's late at night and you're just trying to fall asleep. Maybe it's out of habit, something you do quickly just to release tension. Or maybe you've even lost a bit of sensitivity, so you feel like you need to speed things up just to make it work. But here's the thing: the faster you go, the more you train your body and brain to bypass full engagement. Think of it like this. Imagine going to the gym and doing a 10-second sprint on the treadmill. Then you leave. You do that every day. Do you think your heart will get stronger will your endurance improve? Of course not. Your circulatory system, including the blood vessels involved in arousal, works the same way. It needs time to expand, to activate, to fill with blood fully and naturally. When you rush, you short-circuit that process. And over time, your body gets used to just enough blood flow, not optimal blood flow. That's when things start to feel flat, disconnected, and even frustrating. This mistake also teaches your nervous system something else, that release is the only goal. And when that becomes the pattern, your brain and body start to tune out everything else. Sensation, build-up, connection. You become what I call outcome-driven. And that makes it harder to enjoy the process, whether you're alone or with a partner. One man I worked with, Sam, age 71, told me something that really stuck with me. He said, "It's like my body doesn't remember how to feel anything unless it's fast and automatic." That's what happens when years of rushing retrain your arousal system to seek speed instead of depth. So what can you do instead? Start by slowing things down, way down. This isn't about becoming overly sensual or doing something you're uncomfortable with. It's about giving your body time to engage, to reconnect, to relearn pleasure in a healthier, more natural rhythm. Take 5 extra minutes. Focus on your breathing. Notice what parts of your body feel alive. Pay attention to sensation, not fantasy or finish lines. And if it feels awkward at first, that's okay. You're undoing years, maybe decades of a pattern. By slowing down, you're actually helping restore blood flow. You're rebuilding the vascular pathways that support arousal. You're training your nervous system to appreciate presence again. And perhaps most importantly, you're giving yourself permission to feel. Fully. Without shame, without speed, and without pressure. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. All right, Dr. John, I can slow things down. But what if my mind still wanders? What if I still need extra stimulation to feel anything? That brings us to the second mistake, one that's become incredibly common, especially in recent years. Let's talk about the hidden cost of relying too much on fantasy or stimulation that doesn't come from real connection. Now, let's talk about a habit many men don't realize can quietly erode their intimacy and satisfaction, relying heavily on pornography or fantasy as the main source of arousal. I understand this is a sensitive topic, but it's important to be honest, especially when it's affecting your health and relationships. You see, for many men over 60, porn or fantasy becomes a go-to way to stimulate quickly and get results. It's an easy escape from the challenges of real-life intimacy, or a way to recreate excitement without the pressure of a partner. And on the surface, that might seem harmless or even helpful. But here's what often happens. Underneath the surface, your brain starts rewiring itself to respond best to artificial cues. Those images, scenarios, or mental stories create a pattern where your body and mind expect intense, sometimes unrealistic, stimulation. Over time, this rewiring can create what I call a disconnect loop. What's a disconnect loop? It's when your body is primed to respond to fantasy, but struggles to engage fully with the reality of touch, presence, and emotional connection. Your nervous system gets trained to crave something outside the moment, something distant or imagined instead of what's right in front of you. Take George, for example, a 72-year-old man I recently spoke with. George told me he never thought much about how his long-term porn use might affect his relationship. But after years of relying on it, he noticed that when he was with his wife, he felt numb, distracted, or unable to fully enjoy their time together. George's story is a common one, and it highlights a key issue. When fantasy becomes the primary way you stimulate your body, can start disconnecting from real-life intimacy, the feelings, the warmth, the subtle signals that make sex meaningful. But there's hope. You don't have to give up self-pleasure or your imagination. You just need to gently bring your awareness back to your body and your present experience. Instead of relying on fantasy or screens, try shifting your focus to sensory presence. This means paying attention to the sensations in your skin, the rise and fall of your breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat. It's about tuning into your body's natural responses, not the stories your mind creates. Start small. Maybe close your eyes and notice how the air feels on your skin. Feel the warmth in your hands. Focus on your breathing as you engage with your body. This simple practice can retrain your nervous system to reconnect with real sensations and improve circulation naturally. And if you have a partner, bring this mindfulness into your shared moments. Let go of performance pressure. Instead, focus on presence, the small touches, the eye contact, the shared breath. This builds intimacy from the ground up. So, even if you've been caught in the cycle of fantasy escapism for years, it's never too late to reset. Now let's move to the third and often most overlooked mistake, one that directly affects your body's foundation, ignoring pelvic floor and circulatory health. Now that we've talked about rushing and over-reliance on fantasy, let's get into something many men don't hear enough about the pelvic floor and its vital role in intimacy and circulation, especially after 60. The pelvic floor is a group of muscles at the base of your pelvis. They might not be the most talked about muscles, but they play a crucial role in sexual health. These muscles help control blood flow to the genital area and are key players in achieving and maintaining erections. Here's the problem: as we age, pelvic floor muscles can weaken. This happens naturally over time, but also because many men never actively strengthen or even notice these muscles. If they get weak, blood flow slows, sensation dulls, and sexual function can suffer. A simple way to think about it is like a garden hose. If the hose is strong and flexible, water flows freely. But if the hose is kinked or weak, the flow slows or stops. One of the strongest muscles here is called the bulbocavernosus. It's responsible for pumping blood into the penis and helping with ejaculation and orgasm. When this muscle weakens, blood flow and sensation weaken too. I remember working with a gentleman named Carl, 69. Carl felt frustrated because he was experiencing more difficulty sustaining erections and less pleasure during self-pleasure. After introducing him to pelvic floor exercises within a few weeks, he noticed improved firmness and more satisfying sensations. It gave him a boost of confidence he hadn't felt in years. So, what can you do? First, learn the basics of pelvic floor exercises, often called Kegels. It's not just for women, men benefit greatly from them too. To find these muscles, try stopping the flow of urine midstream. The muscles you use to do that are your pelvic floor muscles. Once you know where they are, practice contracting and holding them for a count of 5, then relaxing for 5. Aim for 3 sets of 10 repetitions a day. Just like any muscle, consistency is key. But it doesn't stop there. Circulation depends on more than muscle strength. Posture, breathing, and even stress levels play a big role. Try focusing on deep diaphragmatic breathing, breathing deeply into your belly, rather than shallow chest breaths. This kind of breathing helps relax your body and improves blood flow. Also consider gentle stretches or yoga poses that open the hips and pelvis, reducing tension and improving circulation. And if you smoke or have high blood pressure, addressing those with your doctor can dramatically improve vascular health, which directly impacts intimate function. Taking care of these foundational muscles and habits can transform your experience, making self-pleasure more satisfying and improving intimacy with your partner. Now that you know the mistakes and some key ways to fix them, let's talk about the bigger picture, how to take these lessons and create a path forward to reclaim connection, pleasure, and confidence after 60. Now that we've explored some common mistakes and their effects, it's time to shift gears and focus on the positive, on what you can do, starting today to rebuild your circulation, deepen intimacy, and enjoy a fuller, more satisfying experience. The first step is embracing patience and kindness towards yourself. Remember, these changes didn't happen overnight, and they won't be reversed overnight either. The good news is that your body and mind are adaptable at any age, especially when you're consistent and intentional. Start by slowing down your self-pleasure sessions, as we talked about earlier. Take those extra minutes to truly connect with your body, your breath, and your sensations. Think of it as a gentle practice rather than a race. Next, commit to regular pelvic floor exercises. This simple daily habit strengthens your foundation, improving blood flow and control. Over time, you'll likely notice stronger, more lasting erections and a richer, more connected sensation. It also helps to cultivate mindfulness, being present in the moment without judgment. This can be as simple as focusing on your breath for a few minutes a day or paying attention to how your body feels during intimate moments. Mindfulness can retrain your nervous system to appreciate the present instead of rushing toward the finish line or escaping into fantasy. If you have a partner, communication is key. Share what you're learning and experiencing. This creates space for deeper emotional connection and understanding, reducing pressure and enhancing intimacy. Sometimes, simply knowing you're working on this together can relieve stress and open the door to new experiences. Also, don't overlook your overall cardiovascular health. Regular gentle exercise like walking or swimming supports healthy blood vessels and circulation. Balanced nutrition, rich in antioxidants and healthy fats, can also support vascular health. Staying hydrated, managing stress, and avoiding smoking or excessive alcohol make a big difference too. Finally, if you find persistent difficulties or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare professional who understands the unique needs of men over 60. Sometimes, underlying medical conditions need addressing, and a tailored plan can make all the difference. I want to encourage you. You deserve pleasure, connection, and confidence at every age. These changes may take time, but every small step you take brings you closer to feeling fully alive in your body and relationships. Try integrating these tips into your daily routine and see what shifts for you. And remember, this journey is yours. Take it at your own pace and be proud of every bit of progress. To sum it up, by slowing down, reconnecting with your body, and caring for your circulation and pelvic health, you can renew your intimacy and confidence after 60. Comment 1 if this helped you, and please share this with someone who could benefit. Remember, better health is always within reach.